Okay, this question is from Puzzle Bar. Your question is, right, this question isn't directed towards me, but I'm going to try and answer it. The question is, what's superior, using heavy weights or resistance training? I think this is a trick question, because you could use heavy weights. Both can yield excellent results, but if used poorly, both heavy weights and using resistance bands can yield suboptimal results. It's like you could take an Advil. If you have a headache and you take 2 Advil, it might help your headache. But if you take a whole bottle of Advil, you could kill yourself. So it's super important that you understand the reasons you're doing what you're doing, and does your effort match, right? Is your effort going to create the goals that you're working towards, right? You could use a resistance band and do a Dick Hartzel, Hartzel, warm-up routine for lower body flexibility, upper body flexibility, shoulder stretches, traction, joint traction, and you could strengthen, right, your whole body's muscles, tendons, ligaments, and joints with Dick Hartzel's band routine. And he's like 70 years old. He could do a full split. So in that sense, that's something that you could do every day with a resistance band that costs less than 20 bucks. And for a few minutes a day, you're investing in the integrity of your, all your joints, a full body routine from your fingertips to your finger toes. Resistance band's going to help you prevent injuries and perform well on the field. You could use, Louis Simmons. The late Louis Simmons argues that he would argue, and he said this. If you just check out Westside Barbell Podcast, if you could only choose between band resistance, weights, or chains, he says bands, they override the Golgi tendon, the Golgi, your fast twitch reflex. So, right, your body has mechanisms to protect you from injury, and what the bands do is they override your nervous system's sensor, so that it's gonna, if you do a squat with band tension, it's gonna shoot you down, and it's gonna allow you to shoot back up fast, right? So if you're developing explosive strength and speed, using resistance bands in squat variations are going to yield excellent results if you use it right. But if you, for example, if you put too much band tension on your squat, you could significantly injure, right? You could seriously hurt yourself if you do not know what you're doing. So I'm not saying it's easy working with resistance bands or weights or chains. I'm saying you have to be aware, and you have to be thoughtful in the way that you are attacking a weight training plan or routine. That being said, Barry Ross, author of Underground Secrets to Faster Running, he recommends heavy deadlifts, hex bar deadlifts, using low repetitions and heavy weight. And the reason you do this is because you'll develop very strong muscles, right? Explosive muscles, but you're not going to develop your time under tension, right? Your time under tension is going to be very low, and this is going to make it so that your muscles don't get very large and very heavy. So when you want to run faster, that's important, because the heavier you are, the relationship to your strength versus weight matters, right? So he recommends, his routine is very heavy weight, low repetitions. So you could see how there's kind of opposing thoughts on the ways to develop either strength, on developing speed. So, right, it kind of depends on your goal as a player or a coach or a trainer. There's mixed methodologies, and you have to be aware of just safe practices and and do your homework, right? Do your homework. So Louis Simmons is someone that you could check out. Barry Ross's book, Underground Secrets to Running Faster. I would check out the book Balance is Power by Jim Klopman, using one-legged stability for balance, right? Balance is super important and can develop strength in a very elegant and simple way that you don't necessarily need heavy weights to get a lot of results. And that's something that you could start to educate players, parents, or coaches and encourage player learning. A lot of organizations like Parisi, for example, they kind of want to make players dependent on their strength training so that they are always getting money. So you have to be wary of organizations or people who don't encourage self-learning and who are trying to make them dependent, trying to make you dependent on them. You want to learn from people who try to encourage your own learning and who don't look at themselves like the mecca of all knowledge and who try and hoard knowledge. You want to look towards teachers who are trying to always learn and always testing theories and who do their own training, right? There are people who give advice, yet their workouts and their advice, they don't match, and they can't display high levels of either movement or strength. So right, Ziani is someone who you want to check out because he's 49 years old and he's still dunking on a 10-foot hoop, right? That's someone whose advice and whose training match the things that he's doing. It's very congruent, but there are some pseudo trainers and coaches who think who act like their advice is the best, can't display high levels of athleticism, and yet are in some type of position where all they do is talk, and yet they cannot show their actions that match their words. So that being said, another person who comes to mind who's a pioneer in movement and training and who shows with his actions and his words, David Weck, W-E-C-K, is someone who is on the cutting edge of physical education and movement, and who's revolutionizing physical fitness and health. So that's someone who you also want to check out in terms of movement and strength training and resistance training. So I know those are a lot of ideas, but reach out with any more questions, and I'll try and help in any way I can. All right, thank you.